Another Tattletail conspiracy theory? You betcha! Hey yo Prodigies, Charles here, and in this video I'll be sharing with you another Tattletail conspiracy theory. This one will explain the situation behind who knocks on the front door on night 2. Our points will be loosely based on whatever facts of the game that we can collect, and we'll look at some of the most interesting things that the Prodigies have been saying about the game, but we can't draw solid conclusions on. If you would like more Tattletail theories, remember to subscribe and tap that bell, as on top of the many theories I've already made, there will be more to come. And Prodigies, if you think that this video is too long for you, remember to tap add to and select watch later to save your progress, or just do it for fun. Let's start with what we know. We know that on night 1, when the player goes back to bed, the front door appears open, but no one is on the other side. We also know that Mama shows up on night 2 of the game, and is the first night that Mama poses a threat to the player. Mama was banned years before the Christmas of 1998, and it is quite possible that the Mama that we own is actually a prototype. Finally, we know that Mama was banned for being dangerous in some way, but it is unclear exactly how Mama is dangerous. Got all those facts? Now let's bring it all together. We hear knocking on the front door on night 2 after we first encounter Mama, and the knocking happens for quite a while before it stops. We can assume from this that whoever was doing the knocking wanted to get into the house very badly. But why? Remember that Mama was banned years before the event of the game. Whoever was knocking on the door would have had a good reason for doing so. Some Prodigies even provided their own examples of who this could possibly be. Some say that the person knocking on the door was a police officer, and others think that it could be the father who used to work at Waygetter in a drunken state. Others think that it may just be a regular Waygetter employee that tracked the Mama down. Before we can decide on either of these cases, we have to figure out why Mama was banned in the first place. Now Waygetter, as in the developers of the actual video game, have given us 2 potential hints. The first is that Mama bit a child's eyes in the past, causing it to be recalled due to being unsafe. We can find this information on the Steam page of the game. The second is that Mama may have killed someone who used to work at the in-game Waygetter facility. The actual game does not have solid evidence of this, as the camera angles of the VHS that we see in the game are very vague and tell different stories. Is the worker in the VHS alive or dead? These 2 camera angles play at the same time, and neither of them tell us one outcome or the other. However, we may be able to assume that the worker died, as it seems that this was intended by the Tattletail game trailer, where the worker appears in a pool of blood. Given the situations we have and the possible ways we can explain them, it makes more sense to have someone knock on our door due to Mama being a mortal danger, rather than for Mama being a minor threat. And it does definitely look like Mama had actually killed someone. Given the situations we have and the possible ways we can explain them, it makes more sense to have someone knock on our door due to Mama being a mortal danger to whoever comes near it, rather than for Mama being a minor threat. And it does definitely look like Mama had actually killed someone. Remember that the Steam page mentioned that the story behind biting a child's eyes out was just a rumor, and the in-game Waygetter appears to be hiding many secrets. Of the police officer, the father, and the Waygetter employee, which of these stories seems to make the most sense? The story behind the police officer is that the authorities noticed that someone had tried to break in the night before, on night 1, and wanted to warn the residents of the house as to what happened. This would certainly make sense if someone broke into the house to plant Mama there, but something that really doesn't make sense is why the police would be so delayed to report this happening. They would have to put the player and their mother in a lot of danger by not acting on the break-in straight away. What about the drunken father? If the mother had divorced the father, or they were in the process of a breakup, the father would have knocked on the door, assumedly to beg for the mother's forgiveness, but we all know how much of a deep sleeper that mother of ours is. This would explain why the knocking would go on for a long time, but it doesn't really fit in with any of our other evidence, unless the father was also a Waygetter employee. Which brings us to our last scenario. What if it actually was just a Waygetter employee? Whether they were related to the mother and player or not, this would probably actually make the most sense. Consider that the Waygetter employee would probably know the dangers of Mama. Waygetter appears to have the technology to track Mama down, and also consider the events of the secret VHS cameras that we can see. If that very Waygetter employee was the father, the emotional attachment that he had to his family would be even stronger evidence for the case. What do you think? When we try to see who is actually knocking outside the front door, there's actually no one there. I've tried all the angles I could, and there's just no model that spawns in front of the door when the knocking happens. However, just because there's no one there that we can see, doesn't mean that it wasn't intended. Mom, And if it isn't someone trying to warn us about the dangers of Mama, it is definitely there to give us the creeps and create that ambience. Kind of like the light under the door in Bendy and the Ink Machine. Remember to subscribe and tap that bell for more interesting horror game theories and secrets. If Tattletail theories are your lifeblood, be sure to check the description for a link to all of the theories and secrets. And Prodigies, I really hope that these theories help you to expand on how you think, so it can help you with how you go about your thinking in your daily lives. See ya!